Good evening, welcome to Bent TV. Tonight, dig deeper. Malice interviews Daniel O'Brien.
Hello, you're on Dig Deeper with me, Malice, and I'm joined this evening by the very fabulous Daniel O'Brien, roadie and photographer extraordinaire.
Hey Malice, how you going?
I'm very good, Daniel. Welcome.
Oh,
Thank
I feel
you for
very
coming.
welcome.
Awesome. So your day job is as a roadie.
Yes.
And you have a great story about how you accidentally came out at work. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, I sort of had no intention of ever coming out at work because it's such a masculine environment.
Yeah,
and,
very blokey, yeah.
Yeah, so especially when I was first working there. So I went into the office to inquire about work, as you did, and I saw on the board there was a Whitney Houston gig coming up, and I was like... Oh, Weasel. That's my boss.
Yeah,
Weasel.
of course it is, yeah.
How do I... Would I be able to get a show call, which actually means working on the stage, doing things during the show? Could I get a show call for Whitney Houston? He's like, well, are you a fan? I'm gay. I don't really have a choice in the matter. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh no, what have I done? And I looked at Weasel, and Weasel looked at Joe, and then Joe looked at me, and I looked at Weasel. And yeah, and then he wrote it down. He said, there you go, brother, you can have it. And I was like,
nice.
Oh, thank God. So,
And so have you got like all the kind of, gay icon kind of show calls from then on, or?
Yeah, I got Lady Gaga the next week after that.
Nice.
But I think, I sort of have paid my dues there and I work really hard. So I now pretty much get anything that's going. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before you let the gay cat out of the bag, did you think that the blokey roadie community was ever going to accept like a gay roadie?
Yeah, no, I wasn't really... No.
No, yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be like that at all, especially when I first started. It was very masculine. It was very, very blokey. Yeah. And I just thought, oh God, I don't want anyone to know, because as soon as you show any form of weakness, as in you don't do something very well, you earn a nickname, you get picked on, all that kind of stuff. So I certainly didn't want anyone to find out until I knew I could pack a truck as hard as anyone else. I knew all my lights, I could pack a loom, I could use tools, I could do everything.
You can pack things, that's good.
Yeah, so all of those things I can do, so that's good.
Excellent. So have you experienced any kind of backlash at all?
A little bit, people generally are, a little homophobic and racist, whether it just be in humour or whether it actually be their point of view. Yeah,
okay. So, there's this thing where the kids use the word gay a lot. Yeah. That would happen a lot, around the roadies? They say gay a lot?
Yeah, not really, because the roadies are a bit older, so they don't really have that language as such. Yeah. But a little bit, But it's more about... Like, I just know that in that environment, I can't take myself too seriously. But as soon as I get offended by anything, I have my techniques of dealing with that.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I'm pretty assertive anyway. So I nip it in the bud as soon as I feel like a line's been crossed. Yeah. I'll sort it out in the back of a truck. Yeah.
You're very, you're very blokey for a gay man, I'd have to say. So you can kind of, walk that line.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sometimes I do what's called a public flogging as well. So it's not physical, it's verbal. I
was very excited for a moment.
Cut someone down and put them in their place, but do that sort of in a public environment so everyone knows.
So yes, you just don't pick on the gay man necessarily?
Or just where a line may be and where they would cross it.
Yeah, well, I wondered, it sort of reminds me of roadies, remind me of kind of maybe a sport club kind of feel. So I wondered whether, you got any of those kind of very insecure blokes sort of feeling like, you might try and crack onto them or something ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I haven't really had that at all. They're generally, actually, everyone's really, really cool. Everyone's really fine. And because the roadie thing is it's generally musician-based as well. Yeah. So they've got a bit of an arts background.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's not just all blokey bloke, but...
Oh yeah, so not nearly as bad as you thought it was going to be.
No, it's been actually really, really fine, and I have a really great community there, and I love my job. I love the people I work with.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your other work, which is your photographic work. Yeah. What's been your favourite event to shoot?
Event-wise, I really like doing protests, activism, because I'm politically motivated myself. Yeah. And the camera is a really great license to get right into the thick of it, right up the front. Yeah. And I love to use it just as, to hold police into account is one thing, especially during Occupy, during even the pro-life abortion rally that just happened.
Yeah.
And so both of the rallies met
That's right. So it's pro-life versus pro-choice. Wow.
Yeah, and it was
on.
heated. It was pretty vicious at one point.
I have seen some of your photos for this event, and I was interested to know whether anyone didn't want their photo taken particularly.
Well, no one seemed to shy away from it when I was taking the photos. I'm always very conscious of that. And then when I put the photos up, I contacted, Jenny, it's the socialists who are involved in a lot of that frontline stuff. So I contacted those organisations and I put up my photos. Anyone who doesn't want their photo put up can just contact me and have it taken down.
Yeah.
So, but no one's responded to that.
Yeah, because that really looked like it was very heated between the two groups.
It was excellent. Yeah.
Interesting. So some other interesting work you've been doing was the Hail to the King show. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm really I love strong female women. I love female performers. Whether it be rock and roll or whatever. And there was a group of Mojo Juju, one of the girls from Twincest. Amazing. And and Kira Peru from Kira Peru and the Brews, who I'm just obsessed with. But they all came together and did Elvis songs. The Northcote Town Hall, which is an amazing setting. Yeah. And so I went and shot that, and the photos just really, they could be taken from any time. It's brilliant.
Beautiful, timeless stuff, And another one that I thought was really cool was the Where the Wild Things Are benefit. Yeah,
it's a forest fundraiser. I've got a friend who does fundraising. He raised $20,000.
Oh, awesome.
He had, guys from the Dandy Warhols involved and Courtney Barnett, who's now, winning lots of awards and Immigrant Union. And so, we got on a train and filmed a promo for that.
Yeah, that must have been awesome.
Excellent, just took over.
Yeah.
And I really like capturing the moments in between.
Well, this is it. What I really loved is the commuters, right? They were just like, what?
Yeah, the people sort of grabbing a feather out of the air. And
awesome.
The looks on people's faces.
Yeah, that's it, that surprise moment, right? Okay, so you like getting kind of candid shots, I guess, more than...
Yeah, I'm really photo documentary based in that way.
Yeah, okay.
But so I love to shoot rock and roll bands. That's probably my favourite thing to do. Yep. And when I shoot a band, I'll shoot easily the crowd half as much as the band.
Yeah, right.
Because they're the guys who go to the gigs.
Yeah.
They're the ones who go and put their money in and show their support. And they're generally in other bands as well. So if I'm going to shoot a band, I will turn around and I want to get that look on someone's face when they're losing it. And
rapture, right? Yeah, awesome. Rock rapture. So how can peeps check out some of your work?
Have a blog.
Yeah.
Kiss This Fist.
Lovely.
Like getting punched in the face. KissThisFist.blogspot.com.
Yeah, cool.
And my Facebook page is facebook.com/KissThisFist.
Awesome. Okay.
So my work can be seen there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Daniel O'Brien, for coming and sharing your fabulousness.
No problems.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next time on Dig Deeper.
You're with Bent TV. See you after the break. More Vox Pops. Welcome back. This is Bent TV. Next, Vox Pops from Midsumma Carnival 2014.
If you had a magic wand and you could change the world, what would you change?
Well, I'd probably like to get rid of a lot of conservative politicians. That would probably be one thing I'd like to do. But
I'd get everyone to understand that it's time for marriage equality and it's time that we were respected for the kind of people we are.
I would change everybody and everything to be equal.
Getting rid of transphobia or any phobias,
I wouldn't change anything.
I think maybe having a magic wand and having it so everyone else could experience what another person experiences.
I would have marriage equality and equality for everyone in the world, I think.
Pretty much the same. So, equality, everyone has enough to live on, that sort of thing,
We were talking about this earlier. I would make chocolate slimming.
I would want young gay and lesbian people to stop topping themselves.
If you had a magic wand and could change the world, what would you change?
Make the world a peaceful, loving place.
No war, really.
Well, you can't beat no war. I agree.
Everyone can work part-time and they don't have to be full-time.
There's so many things. I'd make everyone foster carers.
Okay.
And hopefully make it so that no kids would need foster care as well.
Marriage equality, absolutely.
I think I would like the world to be a little bit safer and a little bit kinder to young gay people.
Oh, good question. Never actually really thought about that before. Maybe make Essendon premiers in 2014. That's about it. And I don't think that's going to happen.
I believe that I wish that the world would just accept us for who we are and without any judgment.
Well, life is not perfect, and I know even if we do a lot of things for the people to accept us, there's some other people that's not going to accept us. So maybe I wouldn't change, because the challenge and the thrill that giving to us at the moment, I'm having a good time.
If I was given a magic wand, I would give everyone the same rights and equality.
Yeah, just wish we get more acceptance in the society, because sometimes it's hard for us to live in society because many people just trying to treat us bad or whatever. So just at least we all are human beings, so equal.
Power in everybody, minority groups, majority groups, everybody.
People just allowing people to be people.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Just that allowance wand.
Yeah. The way people treat one another in some of the countries, like what we're doing with the illegal immigrants, they are refugees. They are not illegal immigrants. I'd wave a magic wand and get rid of the government.
Well, that's a big question, but I would institute proper socialism as originally intended, that Karl Marx intended, not the bastardised one, right? So we would do away with the situation we have at the moment, where multinationals now tell governments what to do, and we're going to suffer. We're having more and more of these global financial downturns that they're finding it more and more difficult to get out of. So, yeah.
I'd eliminate homophobia.
Yeah? Yes. And people's angriness.
The way the brain works. Because the brain is what forces us to see things in a very narrow way, and we're lazy creatures, so everything's habitual. And if we learn racism as a habit and we learn prejudice as a habit, then that's what we're going to do. And it takes a lot of energy to change a habit. So I'd change the way the brain works.
Ooh, geez. This is like a Miss Universe pageant, is it? Haven't thought about that one.
I don't know. I guess being in my Enough T-shirt to end HIV would be number one. Yeah. Cure for AIDS.
I agree with both these boys. Breaking down stigma, discrimination against people living with HIV.
I think just a bit more empathy, understanding for difference.
It would have to be less homophobia and more of the gay marriage. Australia, come on, it's time to move.
My first priority would be to get Tony Abbott out of power.
All the gay guys having signs above their heads so that I know which one's gay and which one's straight.
World peace.
Or I would probably intolerance for other people. If I could wave a magic wand and make everyone not believe what's on the front page of the Herald Sun every time they pick it up, that would be nice.
If you had a magic wand and you could change the world, what would you change?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't know. No poverty?
Government.
Oh, wow. Well, given what I'm doing today, I'd probably like to say eradicate HIV, to be perfectly honest with you. But,
well, I wouldn't have a clue. That's a big question. Yeah, not sure.
I think for personally just one testicle, I want to have two. That's all. Probably just world hunger, because there's a lot of starving kids in Africa that really need some help. So that's pretty good.
That's a hard one. Make it so that everybody can be who they are and do what they are meant to do. Actually, that we can be as free and independent
and satisfied as we possibly can.
I think young people can sometimes be scapegoated a little bit and seen as, problems, but I think young people have a lot to offer our society, and I think we need to find ways to include them more.
Oh wow, I really don't know. Something about being positive and just helping each other.
Remove the hate and replace it with love, and just love one another.
That's a really hard question. I would do my wand thing so that everyone is happy with life.
I don't know. There's a lot of things. I think the thing that I've been most annoyed about recently has been the barrier reef. If you fuck that up, it's not going to come back, is it? So that is my most source of anguish at the moment.
I'd love to say world peace.
Easy one, being gay today, marriage equality.
What would you do with your magic wand? See you after the break. Welcome back. This is Bent TV. Next, Dennis Altman is interviewed by Steve Pereira.
Good evening, welcome to Bent TV. You're watching Quedia with Steve Pereira. We're returning tonight to our discussion with Dr. Dennis Altman, Melbourne icon, activist and writer. And we're talking about the end of homosexuality. I used to be involved with the anti-racist movement in a while, and there was the tension with us then, and this was in Canada, was it became a sort of a ghettoization and a form of self-perpetuating, because you organise people at the points of persecution, and so there is a vested interest in maintaining that the persecution persists in order to then begin organising. Is that true to a certain extent still with the gay community in terms of gay organising?
We don't have very many major, well-funded organisations other than those that are doing specifically HIV work. I actually, going back to your original comment, which I said we had to unpack, I would dispute that I'm nostalgic. I certainly talk a lot about the nostalgia that's around, and I talk about the fact that, there are those websites now, Lost Gay Melbourne, Lost Gay Sydney, Lost Gay Perth, etc., which are exercises in huge nostalgia. It sounds very sad because often it's talking about people who died prematurely. My sense is that often older activists, and I'm afraid I have to include myself there.
And myself.
Yes, one can't deny certain hard realities. Don't actually see or don't recognise that the nature of politics has changed, and that people are... I'm actually very impressed by a current generation of people who are active, but they're active in different ways because the issues are different. The methods available to people are different, and the public arena is different. I actually think that in general, the queer world, and I prefer that term because it's sort of loose and encompassing, the queer world now is a lot nicer than it was 30 or 40 years ago. We went through a really horrible, tough period because of AIDS. A lot of people died. Of people of my age, that's very sad. But I think now we have a whole lot of really interesting things going on, and often going on that are quite marginal and certainly wouldn't fit that quote from William Buckley about major organisations.
Becoming committee-driven and bureaucratic, and because there is a sense from, and certainly from somebody coming from the outside, with a lot of the gay institutions, they have become institutionalised, and it's very hard to break into it if you're a newcomer. And there is still that perception that even within the gay community, we have the centre and then we have the margins.
I actually wonder about that in the sense that if I think about Melbourne, and we're talking in Melbourne, right? And I at some point talk in this book quite specifically about Melbourne, which is a real problem for getting an American publisher, because Americans are not in the least bit interested in what happens in Melbourne. But if you think about the big institutions, there are things like Joy FM, Midsumma, the Melbourne Queer Film Festival, which are both political and cultural, and which, as far as I can see, do have a constant turnover of people. New people come into them. There are all sorts of spaces. The bookshop Hares and Hyenas has become an ongoing performance space in which I have seen large numbers of people, emerge, do their first reading, do their first performance piece. I think that there is always, of course, when people start getting jobs, and that's where people working in AIDS are rather different, then of course certain constraints happen. I think we have to be realistic. If you're getting funded by governments, and if you're using public money, I know I'm sounding like a good Liberal Party hack here, but it's actually true. If you're funded by public money, there has to be some accountability.
Absolutely.
And accountability in turn means bureaucracy. I mean, and it's like, Steve, when I came into the studio today, what was the first thing that happened? Before I got offered a glass of water, I got given a release form to sign. So, this is the nature of
Hang on, we
any
often
institution.
No, that's true. It's very true,
yeah. I don't think we should get too worried about that. I mean, I was talking very specifically. I remember the quote, and I was quite unable, nobody could ever find the source, that every cause begins as a movement, becomes a forgotten... begins as a cause, becomes a movement, and then ends as a cabal. Right.
I would replace cabal with committee.
I think that's actually true of what has happened globally around AIDS. I mean, AIDS has produced a large, complex set of institutions. A lot of people's careers are very bound up. These are people who are deeply altruistic, deeply committed, but at the same time, they're keeping the fences around them because they want to maintain their centrality. So there I think it's true. If we go down to what's happening on the ground in queer Melbourne, what interests me is there are lots of things going on in all sorts of ways. I mean, this television program is an example. We have, if you think about the whole range of queer media in Australia now, a lot of which is people having their own blogs and their own websites, it's pretty diverse.
But fundamentally, it comes down to the question again, of the question that you raised in the book, about the purpose behind it all. Are we going to demonstrate that just like everybody else, or do we want to build up a brand new community?
Well, that of course is yes, and that's why I of course have a question mark. I mean, it's deliberately a provocative question. Vito Russo, the film historian.
That's right. Cellular Closet, brilliant.
Yeah, had this wonderful line that we want simultaneously to have home movies for ourselves that are big hits in mainstream movie theatres. And I think that sums it up. We do need community in the sense that we want to do things where we feel comfortable. We still want spaces in which we feel we're in control, but at the same time we want to have an impact on the larger society. And I guess what I would say has changed. This takes us back to people like Penny Wong or indeed Bob Brown. Someone for whom I have great admiration for reasons we can talk about, Matthew Mitchell, the diver. It is now possible in Australia, which it isn't in most parts of the world, certainly not in Russia at the moment, to be openly homosexual and to have a distinguished career in many fields. And that, I think, is the real shift, and it's an enormously important shift. And it's enormously important that young queers see that. And that does take it back to what you said about the need for role models.
Before we end, and we do have to end, can you hold up the book? It's a fabulous cover.
It is, isn't it?
And the Banksy text
stolen from Banksy, who of course doesn't believe in copyright.
What's next for you? I mean, your list. I haven't read your list of credits, which has gone through, but one of Australia's most influential people. What's next for you?
Well, what I say to people is I'm writing a novel. But I think, to be more honest, I'm thinking about writing a novel.
Which is just as important part of the process. Thank you very much, Dennis. You've been an absolute pleasure. I hope I haven't stumbled my way through this. I've been in awe of you for good on 40 years, ever since I first picked up Homosexual in Toronto.
Did you pick it up in the bookshop that had it in a plastic cover because it was in the... I remember in Toronto I saw a copy of it in a pawn shop and I thought some poor guy's going to buy this book, maybe it was you, and take it home and he's going to be very disappointed.
We were lucky to have a gay bookshop in Toronto called Glad Day Bookshops from the very early days. Yeah. And I was extremely lucky to have a gay mentor who gave me a pile of books, your book, and then he also told me to read The Female Eunuch by Germaine Greer, which terrified me, and I went straight back to your book. I thought I'm much happier with this. Thank you, Dennis. That has been most illuminating. You've been watching Steve Pereira on Quedia on Bent TV. Thank you for watching us. Come back again.
That's our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to visit us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. See you next week.